Salutations. These are all of my September general favorites. Let's start off with The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I only went into this book knowing that it's really hyped and it's about institutional culture, Greek classics, a group of students at a college, liberal arts college, and murder. And it was absolutely a phenomenal reading experience for me. I made so many tabs, as you can see, and I want to reread it as we speak. It's so rich in text and the characters are so well-rounded, and you could tell that Donna Tartt spent a lot of time and effort on it, and it pays out, and it was an absolute delight to read. I gave it 5 stars, as is the next book that I'm going to be talking about, which is Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison, with an introduction from Marlon James. I think it's fair to call this the titan of a family novel, and reading it sort of was a spiritual transformation for me, and I feel like I went on the same journey as Macon Milkman did, the third, who's the protagonist of the story. Also goes through this like spiritual transcendence when he travels from the north in America to the south, and he learns about his family's history, his ego. He just tries to destroy his ego because it's something that he's been living with for a long time. Never have I read a novel with such rich male characters, and I felt that I knew the male characters' interiority as the female characters as well. You have Milkman, who's nursed into toddlerhood by his mother, and it's his first conscious memory. You have his father, Macon Dead II, who's described as mangling their family's grace, and who's really ambitious, who's keen to fulfill all his bourgeoisie black family ideals, and as a result stifles his family, and they are just so afraid to be around him. You have Ferrante, who's Macon Dead II's sister and Milkman's aunt, whose lifestyle is very much opposed to Macon Dead II's lifestyle. She's very loving, she's very protective of her family, and she's willing to murder people to keep her family safe and happy. And you have Guitar, Milkman's friend, who is recruited to join this group called the 7 Days, and their mission basically is to be the Black Avengers. They avenge white violence, an eye for an eye, and that chapter was just incredible, and it had me up at night just reading. And this is just phenomenal work, and I loved every bit of it. It takes a lot of patience, but I told myself that I would read this novel before the end of the year, and I'm really glad that I did. It felt like the perfect time and so worth it. Like, these two remind me why people write, and absolutely loved everything. One of my favorite books of all time, if I can say that. I'm currently reading Less by Andrew Sean Greer. I really love the first 20 pages of this. I was laughing. At the moment, the momentum has plummeted and I'm not really enjoying myself, but I hope that it picks up and I enjoy it at the end of the day, because it's a Pulitzer Prize. Like, it has to be good. And I'm also reading Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. I don't know much about this. I've read some Murakami, and I know that there's magical realism, which is a genre that I want to read more of. There was lots of magical realism, Song of Solomon, which I absolutely loved. So I'm hoping that this also expands my love for the genre. And this was from a secondhand called Help the Rural Child in Mowbray, and this was like 40 rand. This is 45 rand. It's like bitten, which I understand because it's Murakami. I get why a person would buy a Murakami book. I also got some books from the Warehouse bargain book sale, and yeah, here's a mini haul. I got Exit West by Mohsin Hamid, my most anticipated read of this year. I hope I get to this year, but I think I might wait until next year. The Waves by Virginia Woolf. I love this cover. I got Swimming in the Dark by Tomasz Jedrowski. I remember when this was announced, and I'm really keen to read it. The reviews were sort of like lukewarm, but I'm still hoping that it's really good. I got The Lost Daughter by Elena Ferrante. I love this cover. I actually do love some film covers, it turns out. I got The Unwomanly Face of War, and I'm about to butcher this person's name. It's Bedliner Elixir. I remember a professor of mine sending out one of the essays slash interviews from this book, and it was incredibly moving and gut-wrenching, and I'm really curious to read about Soviet Union women soldiers and the experience and why that isn't in the history books. And finally, I got Animal by Lisa Taddeo. I read the first 15 pages of this and I'm sort of underwhelmed. And then someone also mentioned how this cover is ugly, which I get. I'm like regretting buying this cover specifically, but hopefully this book isn't as disappointing as the first 15 pages because my reading has been really good. I don't want it to be messed up by a book that I've gotten. I'm going to say goodbye here. Let me know if you've read any of these books, especially if Animal is worth it, and talk when you do.